Here are some quick directions on how to conduct the third read response for a collaborative discussion. So the purpose of this activity or this discussion is to transfer your analysis of what you have read and what you've annotated into your original writing. The third read is where you produce something based off of your first two reads. So you first listened to audio or you heard an article read aloud for fluency, then you went back a second time, you wrote annotations for that article with metacognitive sentence starters, and you base that off of evidence. And so you're going to now interact with peers in a larger conversation, and you're adding your voice to the conversation of that topic based on what you've read and analyzed. So the goal then is to use evidence from the text to support your original claim or your idea of what the text means based on your reading analysis or based on your annotations is what that I'm trying to say there. So the directions for your post and your actual where you're going to write, what you're going to write is to respond to the prompt. That's right here. I'm going to get to that on a new Seesaw note. Here is a YouTube on how to get onto Seesaw, how to use Seesaw, how to open a note, how to save a note. And so if you missed that direction on how to do Seesaw when you were with the whole class, you can add Seesaw here. You can find the link for Seesaw under the topic that says Writer's Portfolio on your classroom. So all the information for Seesaw, how to join, the join code, directions, that video again is posted under the topic Writer's Portfolio on Classroom. You are going to save the note that you create and then following these directions, and then you will save your post, you will publish your post onto the blog. Here are directions on how to post your note onto the Seesaw blog. After you post your note onto the Seesaw blog, you're going to go to the blog and you're going to read your peers' responses. You're going to select one and you're going to respond to it. Here are some sentence starters that you can use. You'll see an example in just a minute in order to respond to one of your peers. So here's what you're actually writing. So that's how you're going to write it and what you're going to do. So your writing is about this question, basically. This is what you're answering in your Seesaw note. You're going to answer in your Seesaw note, what is the main idea of your reading? So basically, what's the point? What's the purpose? What is the writer writing about? Then you're going to also continue your writing by answering what are supporting ideas that the writer brings up in order to support his or her main idea. So your writing should be at least a complete paragraph in length, which means about 5 to 7 sentences. The below example, I think, is 6 or 7. You will need to incorporate, which means put in, at least one piece of evidence. So at least one quote that you found while you were reading and annotating. It will be helpful, but not mandatory, to utilize the annotations that you wrote already during your second read of the article. So here's what your original post will look like when you open a note. So this is the thing that you're going to publish to the blog as soon as you save it. So for example, the main idea of the article, protests in Oregon State are escalating, is that police are enforcing strict requirements and violent response to peaceful protesters in Portland, Oregon. The protesters are calling for the defunding of police following police killing Black men without trial who are nonviolent. Protesters have been active since the death of George Floyd and were reactivated by the killing of Jacob Blake. One protester from the event claimed, and here's my evidence, "We are calling for equality and will not leave until there is real action from political offices. We cannot and should not allow the death of Black men at the hands of those who are responsible for keeping them safe." The protesters have set up a camp and have been labeled as a national threat by the president. As a response, the National Guard has been called in to enforce local and federal laws of protest. It appears that the protesters in Portland will be continuing with their acts of defiance until they see social equality. So that's what your original post should look like. When you open Seesaw, you create a note, you type on the note, you save it, and then you can go back to the main screen. So you'll blog this note following the directions that are right here. So you're going to follow these directions on how to blog on your Seesaw. You're going to go to the blog, and then you're going to respond to one of your peers. I use the sentence starter from the orange sentence starter list. That was your evidence all supports the idea that. So there's my sentence starter. I'm going to make it orange for you so you can see. Your evidence also supports the idea that protests around the country are validated and should continue until there is real and practical change and police are checked and reevaluated. So just a response to one of your peers, make sure you save it, and that's how you're going to engage in your third read and your response with your peers. I'm also going to add a quick video on how to go to the blog after you've posted your original post. I hope this helps. Make sure you're asking me questions and checking in with me for clarity. Thanks. Bye.